The global reinsurance industry is once again preparing to descend upon Monte Carlo for Rendezvous des Septembre. And again, AM Best has prepared its annual rankings of the top 50 global reinsurers. I'm John Weber for AM Best TV. Here to discuss some of the key developments in this year's rankings is financial analyst Filippo Novella. And Filippo, Swiss Re, back at number one, ahead of Munich Re, who took that spot last year. What did Swiss Re do to retake number one?
Yes, so there are two different factors that we need to look at. So first of all, in 2018, Munich Re's gross written premium decreased by approximately 5%. And the main reason for that is the termination or conversion of two large volume reinsurance transactions in their life portfolio, which more than offset the growth that they had across their remaining life and non-life business. At the same time, Swiss Re in 2018 grew their top line by 5%, and so they climbed back to position number one. Let me also point out AM Best methodology to calculate the gross written premium that we show in the ranking. So the methodology states that in case the reinsurance business accounts for at least 75% of our insurance company's top line, we also include the primary business of that company. Vice versa, if the reinsurance business is less than 75% of the top line, then we take out the insurance operations of that company. And so when we look at Munich Re and Swiss Re, so Munich Re's insurance primary operations account for 35% of the revenue. And because of that, we stripped out this component from the ranking. Whereas when we look at Swiss Re, their insurance business is below the 25% threshold. And because of that, we include that component in the revenue.
Do you think that Swiss Re and Munich Re do anything different that keep them there top number one and two, that keep number 3, 4, 5, and 6 out of that top 1 and 2?
Right. So it's not really something different that they do. Is more about the history of these two companies. So of course, when we look at Munich and Swiss, their history is much longer than SCOR or Hannover, for example. So really, the fact that they've been in the market for so many years allowed them to build up a sizable capital. So they hold approximately 30 billion in surplus compared to 11 billion that sits with Hannover and 6.5 billion with SCOR. So it's really having a larger balance sheet that allows them to write more risks and having a higher revenue. When we look at Lloyd's, for example, so the number 6 in our ranking, Lloyd's capital, let's not forget that it's, a lot of it is represented by intangibles components, which are the LOCs. And also the Lloyd's business is mostly cat exposed. So because of that, they need to hold a larger amount of capital compared to the to other insurance companies such as SCOR or Hannover. And when we look at Berkshire Hathaway, which is ranking number 5 in our ranking, so Berkshire Hathaway capital is mostly allocated to non-insurance operations. And even when we look at the insurance operation, Berkshire Hathaway, a lot of the business they write is intra-group. So this business is excluded from our top 50 ranking.
Was there any notable movement, either upward or downward, in the rankings this year?
Yeah, so Berkshire Hathaway, so after moving from number 5 to number 3 last year, they moved back to number 5. And the 2-spot rise they had last year was mainly due to a one-off deal that occurred between National Indemnity and AIG. It was a deal worth approximately 10 billion. So that's why last year we had this material growth in their top line. This year the revenue have normalized to their more historical level, and that's why they came down back to the 5th position. With Berkshire Hathaway moving back to number 5, we had Hannover Re and SCOR moving back to number 3 and 4, where they historically remained. Other notable upward movement include Argo Group International Holdings, which made its way back in the top 50 ranking after a decade, I'd say. And for the first time, we see Qianhai Reinsurance Company, which is a Chinese reinsurance company established in December 16. So it's a relatively young company. They've been growing a lot because of the government business, government-sponsored business. They're playing a crucial part in the development of the Qianhai free trade zone in China. When we look at the downward movements, probably the one that stands out is Maiden Re. So Maiden Re was ranking the 40th position last year, and they dropped out from, of the top 50 ranking because of the restructuring of their business. So they divested their U.S. reinsurance treaty operations, and because of that, they're not there in the ranking anymore.
Now, the report also includes 2 sub-rankings of top non-life and life reinsurance groups. Does looking at lists broken out in this fashion tell you anything different about the market rankings?
Yeah, definitely these 2 subgroups tell you a different story. So what we want to do with these 2 sub-rankings is really showing companies that have a truly global footprint. So if you're a global insurer, not only you have to have a diversified product offering, but you also have to deploy, material capital across different markets worldwide. So because of that, we exclude reinsurance companies that, despite having a diversified portfolio, they deploy their capacity mainly in the local market. So companies such as Korean Re or China Re, they are not part of these rankings. So let's say that a reinsurance company, evolves over time. They add a global business, so we might see new entrants in these 2 sub-rankings.
Thanks, Filippo.
Yeah.
You can find the full report online at ambest.com. And for AM Best TV, I'm John Weber.